Hello everybody out there, this is Cool Rekz TV. We are the band Cool Rekz and I'm Dave and Ant from Cool Rekz, and I'm going to interview Ant and ask him some questions about the band, music, life and pretty much a lot of other things. But anyway, here's the first question for Ant. What's your best achievement in Cool Rekz? What would you say?
My best achievement in Cool Rekz would have to be perhaps writing the song which became our first single, although I suppose now looking back I unilaterally decided that, didn't I?
Yeah.
But I think it's a good single. No, I was just so happy when I wrote that song. I think when you create something that's potentially appealing to other people, I think it gives you a good, well, it's all right me thinking it's good, but ultimately you write songs for other people to hear, don't you, really? Yeah, I think that, and just being more than just being a useful member of the band, hopefully, really.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think writing The World's Gone Mad was a watershed moment. I think it proved to me that I could write songs, and to do that so early in my musical journey, as it were, I think bodes well for the future, hopefully.
That's cool. So, are you surprised how far you've come on in terms of speed of your bass playing?
I think I picked it up pretty quickly, but I had a lot of time. See, it's not, when people say things like, well, it'll take you a year to learn, they're probably assuming that you've got an hour and a half a day to throw at it. And, you know, if you spend an hour and a half doing something on a Monday, and then you come back to it on a Tuesday, you've probably lost half an hour of that hour in terms of retention. I mean, I was literally on it 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day, because I had the situation I was in at the time I was allowed to do it. And, you know, so I picked things up really quickly. And if you can keep repeating yourself, I think muscle memory, which is a large part of any instrument learning, I think that can kick in a lot quicker. So although I picked it up quicker probably than most did, it's probably because I had larger chunks of time close together to throw at it, if that makes sense. What I think I did, I mean, I literally wrote The World's Gone Mad about 3 months after I first picked up the bass, which I was very pleased with. And that probably is an indicator of more of an indicator of quick learning than actually picking up and learning the bass. I mean, I don't think I'd have got that far on a guitar. I mean, they say all bassists are frustrated guitarists. I'm not saying that's not true in my case, because I never played the guitar before that. But I mean, I can play the guitar very, very basically, but only for the purpose of writing songs. I can spend half an hour getting what I need down on a track, whereas a proper guitar player could do it in about 20 seconds. So I wouldn't say I can play the guitar in terms of on a stage or anything like that, but I can play it well enough if I've got an idea and I want to get that sound down. And that's certainly a much harder instrument to learn. Although, I mean, I've seen interviews with the bassist saying that the bass is a lot harder than the guitar to learn. I've never tried to learn the guitar properly, though. 4 thick strings further apart, I think, are easier than 6 skinnier ones closer together.
They've got different challenges. I play both.
I mean, you play both, don't you? So
bass is a lower level, if I'm honest with it. I'm like you with the other way round.
Yeah, but you can play the bass just as well as I can, and it's only a secondary instrument. So to my mind, that tells me that it's an easier instrument to learn than the guitar.
In some ways, yeah. I'm coming from a different angle. I've played 6 strings for a long time.
I think with a bass, it's more about rhythm and timing.
Yeah, that's what the part of the band you are. Yeah,
and
generally
how you attack the strings.
Yeah,
I think there's more nuance on the bass possibly than on the guitar from that point of view. But yeah,
let's just move on to the album. Any regrets about the album? Say if we were starting again, if you whiz back in time, anything you might do differently? You would perhaps record differently, or
Oh yeah, I mean, we recorded the album pretty much as soon as we knew how we could do it, knew how we could record basically. And I think probably a lot of bands, a lot of people are just playing their instruments for a long time before they ever get to recording. I mean, years ago, you couldn't record unless you got a recording contract,
no.
literally,
Yeah,
you know. So all you would be doing is playing and going out to gigs and that sort of thing. So I don't regret anything, no, because it's a learning curve. We've had the benefit of a producer that was experienced that could sort of guide us through. He's happy enough with the album, so that tells us there's nothing glaring on there. Yeah, I listen back to the album now, I think that song could have been done slightly differently, that song could have been done slightly differently. And the producer changed elements of most of the songs anyway. But no, I look upon it as a stepping stone. As a first effort, considering where we've come, no, regret's the wrong word. We didn't have the benefit of certain experience. I think you can have regrets later on when you've honed your craft and you sort of think to yourself, well, I know enough to have avoided that or to have approached that in a different way.
Yeah. Okay. So go on then, what's your top 5 Cool Rekz songs, whether they're on the album or not? Whether we mean top 5 in terms of just listening to them, or top 5 enjoyed making them, writing them. Just pick a good 5.
There's a track on the album that didn't make it. Eat My Heart. That's my favourite Cool Rekz song. That has to see the light of day, because if it doesn't, I will murder someone.
Sure it will.
I will commit murder.
It'll be on an EP or the next album or something.
That's my favourite track. It's what inspired me to pick up the bass. I just loved, you wrote the bass for it, and the intro to that's just amazing. I think it taught me what the bass brings to a song. It's like a lot of things. Take the bass for granted, I think. It's like lights, you know, take them for granted, but you'd soon know if the lights weren't there, you know. And I think the same with the bass, you don't notice it until it's not there, sort of thing. So that was an awakening for me, really. But so that's definitely number 1. I think World's Gone Mad, I've always liked it. I just think it's a very simple melody, it flows. I like the feedback it's had from some people. I enjoy playing that song a lot. Mr. Positive, definitely. It's my favourite song on the album. Again, I just think it came together beautifully. Again, it flows lovely. I think it's different to a lot of our songs. We've got sort of a repeating instrumental in there, haven't we? Which I think works really well with the song. I think we reproduce it very well live. So that would have to be up there. So that's 3. There's a song which hopefully will be on the next album called One Day, which I do like. We've done a demo of it now. I don't think it's far off being finished, really. And that's before we've released this first album. I just think it's different. It sounds different. I like it lyrically. I think it's probably one of the cleverer sets of lyrics I've come up with. I really do like that song. So that'd have to be that one. I like Crazy, which is also on the album. I think that's probably one of our most polished songs. We mentioned in the other video that producing it live's a whole different kettle of fish. I think it's the only one that we're finding really difficult to reproduce live. I don't think we'd have a problem with any of the other songs producing live. But I do like that song. So yeah, I think that would be my 5, but I think there's plenty of songs that we've written, started to write, have written and put to one side that we maybe need to pick up again. that could well become that.
Given that there's a lot of tracks, we've got a big pool of songs, obviously only 10 of which are on the album. These are probably 20, 30 out there in our library, a couple on the next album. But looking ahead, is there any other musical ideas like styles or sounds or instruments you perhaps want to put on future recordings? Got any thought on that?
I love experimenting. I mean, we never set out to be an indie rock band, a punk band, an alternative band. Our sound is just our sound.
I think most bands sort of feel the same. You don't set out to sound exactly like band A or band B, or genre X or genre Y.
Although I listen to some of the bands in our local music scene without trying to be too controversial, which sound very much like certain other bands, and I know they're huge fans of them, which is fine. But I mean, right from the get-go, I never really I soon got bored of covers. I don't like the idea of covers. They've got their place, and I think it's nice. Maybe if you want to throw one or two into the mix, or I very much like the idea that if you're on a tour and you're touring different places, and you could maybe thinking, well, look, we're playing in that place on that day, and that band or that artist is from that city. It'd be nice to do a cover there because it'd go down well with the crowd and that sort of stuff. But I mean, ultimately, I didn't want to do covers. I wasn't happy doing covers. I think I very much took what U2's attitude to covers were. You know, people could critique us a lot more easily because based on whether or not we sounded like the song.
Well, I always just my policies on my view on covers is don't try and reproduce and do something very different, or don't do it at all. Just my view, but I know what you mean. So you know, is there any?
So I always wanted to. I always thought when I fantasised about being in a band a long time ago that I'd just sound like my favourite artist because that's what inspires you to. But it's not like that, because you listen to a band like XTC, one of my favourite artists, the bass player in that, Colin Moulding, his favourite music is sort of like late 50s, early 1960s dancehall music, you know, Herb Albert, and who was that band that did Glenn Miller, that's right. And he was a big fan of the guy out of Kinks. Ray Davies, And don't get me wrong, I like Kinks. But you, from listening to XTC, you couldn't make the link. Oh, well, you can clearly see the influence of maybe Ray Davies to an extent. But I mean, again, I think Ray Davies doesn't get as much recognition for how he's influenced later acts than a lot of other bands. I love the sound of the classical 1950s, 60s guitar, rhythm guitar especially. But I don't want to sound like anybody else.
I think a lot of people, like you say, when they start making music, I think they don't really, you sometimes can't help being influenced by your influences. Sometimes it just happens. You write something, you know, make or play a riff or whatever, and subconsciously, I think you end up candid, not always. I don't think many people deliberately set out to sound like they're heroes or whatever, if you want to call it that. Sometimes it just happens, but I think it's good to try definitely not to make that conscious decision not to sound like somebody else.
Well, I think I'm in at the ground floor in my musical journey, so to speak. So I think there's a long way to go. I've just redone my pedal board. There's thousands of different combinations on there. And in the case of The Wild's Gone Mad and this other track spoken about called One Day, you know, it was literally just a case of me having 5 or 6 pedals on at the same time in the right kind of settings that I happened on this. So I definitely, there is another accessory which I'm thinking of investing in, not at the moment, but it's not that well known, so I'm not going to mention what it is now, but definitely want to go in that direction with that particular gadget. I think we could do something good with that. But,
What do you think about video? The idea of making video for a song.
yeah, people keep mentioning that. We've got a friend that keeps saying we should do it and that he'd help, but he's got a piece of equipment which you need to fix.
Yeah, well, that's
Have you looked at it yet?
I have, and it's a struggle. But anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, fine.
I don't know. Videos, yeah, as long as there's not too much of me in it.
We could be Daft Punk, the two robots.
I was a good-looking man in my youth, but
Yeah.
I'm afraid
We could do what ABBA did. The
combination of my
missing all you.
very large paper round and not looking after myself. But yeah, I think my face is good for any launching boats now.
So do you think these songs, is this a case of they've always been in you wanting to get out, or are they just gestated recently and come out, or is it a bit of a combination of things where?
No,
feelings
really,
and
because
the
I don't
ideas
think
will-
any of the songs I've written personally are about anything that I'm very that outspoken on, to be
No.
honest with you.
No.
I don't think I went into too much in the other video, but if somebody, like I think I said before in the last video, if somebody told me to go into a room and write 2 sets of lyrics, and we're not going to let you out until you've done it, I could be out in 10 or 15 minutes. But if they told me to go in there and one of them's got to be about Rubik's cubes and the other one's got to be about steam engines, I'd really struggle, because that's not the way I write lyrics. I'll just sometimes, if I've come up with some music, I just start saying random phrases out whilst I'm playing the music to see what goes with it. And for me, that's a starting point. And from there, I can jump off in a lot of directions.
Yeah.
So, and then really at the end of the day, I'll attach the meaning to a song after I've written it. So yeah, I don't think that up to now the songs, the lyrics that I've written are anything particularly to do with how I feel about certain subjects, because perhaps I'm not in a position where I could just decide to write about a subject and get that right, to be honest with you. So no, purely again because I've had time just sitting down and thinking.
So you wouldn't say your lyrics are exceptionally personal? They're just
No.
right. So have you written? Do you think you write optical third-person lyrics where you're putting yourself into the
Well, there's two
another
things.
person,
There's
whether it's
two things.
historical or fictional? Or
There's two things to say. First of all, I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm one of 3 people in a band, and the trouble is, if you write too many personal songs, and it's not fair on the other two.
No.
You know, and also I have written songs from other people's point of view. I've written a song called I can't remember what I've called it now. What's the song called? The song's about attitudes, society's attitude towards old people, which I think is not very good a lot of the time.
Well, the song or the attitudes?
The song, the attitude.
Yeah.
That's sung from the point of view of somebody who thinks old people are a nuisance and they should get out of the way. And so yeah, I do like singing. So again, you know, I think that's a good thing really about, you know, someone can listen to a song and say, well, is that his opinion or is he singing that from somebody else's opinion? I mean, I don't know about you, but I always see I see my role in a band as very much as a traditional one. I mean, music's been used in praise and worship since the time of the Druids, but it was only used as an entertainment device in the sort of dark ages and the Middle Ages, where you had the rise of bards, minstrels and jesters. And they used to sing songs of the events and the famous people at the time. And again, they were like musical newspapers, really. They weren't really singing songs about themselves. So I like to think that I think that's maybe where people talk about where relevancy comes in. You know, I like to think I'm reflecting a lot of the time. I'm singing about things I've witnessed, or I'm singing about songs from other people's points of view. Also, I don't like to talk too much about what songs mean. I mean, some of the connections I form with songs, some of my favourite songs, I just think are really good. You know, for years. The fact, one of the main reasons why I like the songs, because I felt that they were talking about something I'd experienced, or something, espousing an opinion that I'd agreed with, and then you form a really strong bond with it. And then years later, you read in it or see in an interview, you know, talking about this song and what you thought was a song about inner struggle to find meaning and overcoming adversity was a song about his stamp collection.
Yeah.
You know, and it shattered the illusion.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think many of my songs are very personal at all.
No.
And I'm gonna have to look in my notes now because I'm really frustrated. I can't remember what that song
Is it
about the elderly people's called.
Had Your Time?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, I
it.
remember. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Had Your Time. We haven't
Yeah,
done anything
yeah.
with it, but just the lyrics. Yeah, that's right. Had Your Time.
Yeah.
That came because I went to visit just quickly. I was visiting my mother, one of her many bouts in hospital, and opposite her was this old lady, and it didn't matter what time I went during the day to see her, she'd be sat there in a chair. There was nothing. There was a plastic cup with some water in on the side, and she was just sat there staring into space. And I thought, that's just, you know, if I was just to sit here now for more than about 10 minutes just doing this, I'd start to get bored, you know. She was just sat there. And from what I could tell, because I was going at all hours to see my mum, I never saw anybody come to visit her. And that's what got me thinking about writing that song. It was just heartbreaking, really.
Maybe there's more songs in that area. More lyrics. Songs,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's been a good interview with the man. We'll call it a day for now. There'll be more videos coming soon. We're getting one with our producer, Mr. Roberts, to be confirmed. But anyway, keep listening to the album. Get that album when it's out. All right.
The World's Gone Mad,
Now,
released on February the 18th, 2022.
we'll get listening to it.